Hello, welcome to Peaceful Rebellion, and
And alternative interactions.
we're here together, Gary and I, and we're going to chat about all kinds of things. But we're going to start with something that's quite relevant, and it's something that I don't have much information on at all, but Gary does. There's something heading toward Earth. What on earth is that?
I think you're talking about what the mainstream have called Three Eye Atlas.
Three-Eye Atlas, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I actually did a reading on it probably 2 weeks ago now, guided to do so. I had a question from one of my viewers. I'm sure, like you, Gordon, you get questions come up that sort of like, yeah, I really need to sort of cover that one, or I need to respond to this, or that fits in with something. So I got this question about the Free Eye Atlas, and I looked into it, got the pendulum out, and so the first time I heard about Free Eye Atlas, it came up, and there's this scientist saying, or this astronomer saying, we see something and it's new and we don't know what it is, and we're going to call it Free Eye Atlas, and it's emitting light.
Is it
Okay, so
like a comet or something? Is that what they're saying? It's a comet?
yeah, well, that kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
But comets don't emit light,
Okay.
so a comet won't sort of shine and glow a light source as that such. So I was thinking that's a bit strange. So we've got something that they don't know what it is, and it's shining a light back at us,
Hmm.
which is unusual. Uh, Now, I'll put my cards on the table here straight away, and I don't believe in space, and I don't believe in that kind of mainstream narrative.
Hmm.
From all the research I've done, I just don't. And but I do believe we're in a toroidal field of consciousness,
Hmm.
and this consciousness creates a reality around us that we perceive as being real.
Uh-huh.
And so, because the majority of people believe in space, scientists will be able to see space. They'll be able to see it.
Hmm.
It's one of those visual things that, because we believe it is so, it will be created for us in this realm to give the impression of the reality, a real place that we're
Yeah.
in.
Hmm.
So we have scientists looking into space, observing something that doesn't make sense to them in this realm of consciousness, this holographic matrix, whatever you want to call it.
Uh-huh.
There's it makes no difference. I mean, Sonia from Trianoid, she calls it a snow globe.
Yeah.
We live under a dome, and here we have what I have my my Flammarion imagery behind me, and it shows that there's something outside and there's something inside, and we're inside something. And what is that? And that's why I have that.
Mhm.
So we have scientists looking into space, observing something, and this something isn't acting the way a lump of rock would act.
Okay.
And I can't remember which way around it was, but a comet tail either goes away from the sun or towards the sun. I can't remember which way it is. And this is the opposite to what it is. And this is the first object I've ever observed where a tail is 180 degrees the wrong way round.
Okay.
It's emitting light, and so it's like, oh, this is very, very interesting. Now, I have had a knowing for a short, for not a long while, but for a while, that we could be having encounters with non-terrestrial beings.
Okay.
And we're not talking about Project Bluebeam, we're talking about genuine non-terrestrial beings, in whatever shape or form. And so I did this pendulum looking, and what I got from the Free Eye Atlas was that this is a multi-dimensional craft, not a spaceship, because obviously I don't believe the space exists, but we're in multiple dimensions of realities. So if you think about a Russian doll, You
Hmm.
look at the Russian doll, but you take the top bit off, and there's another doll inside, there's another doll inside. And this is what I mean by a multi-dimensional reality. So inside what we perceive as being the world could be 10, 12, or multiples of different realities within this energy construct that we live in.
Hmm.
And so this is, I think, why we see ghosts sometimes or entities, because we get some bleed through from the two realms. And some people who are psychic have that ability to see the different realm, or they'll get little glimpses of something that's, because it's that multiple layer of pancakes on pancakes of pancakes. So we have, as far as I'm concerned, a multi-dimensional ship. Now, what that means to me is that we have a craft that has come in from a different dimensional reality. And they have come into what is fundamentally a locked down realm.
Hmm.
So by that I mean that we live in the 3D, and people say it's a prison planet or it's a soul trap or whatever. And fundamentally it kind of is, but it's not. It kind of is because we keep getting recycled. But we keep getting recycled because we're waiting for that period in time when the window of opportunity comes for us to escape out of here and go into a different dimension.
Hmm.
Many call it 5D. Language, it's up to you guys what you feel, you know, but we'll use the 3D and 5D terminology because I think most of our audience will understand what we're talking about there, won't they, Gordon?
Sure.
So for us to get to 5D, we have to get out of the 3D, but the 3D vibrational frequency means that we can't pass through. We have a craft that has come into our 3D frequency realm from a higher frequency. Which frequency it comes from, I have no idea. Okay. But what it has done, it's come into a realm that's fundamentally locked down. So for me, that's really interesting. They have chosen to come in here at a point where they could be stuck here for a very, very long time, like we have been, but they've chosen to come in now. So straight away, that's a good news story. Just like you did a video, just recently on the good news
Yeah.
story. So for me, that's a good news story.
Yeah.
That's a positive. That's a positive. So I then looked at who's on board, right? Is
Hmm.
there anybody on board on this craft? And I get a yes, there is. And what I also get is the beings on board who I'm calling non-terrestrial, as in non-3D plane terrestrial, are higher versions of our own selves.
Okay.
So when I talk spiritually, I talk about us being a fractal of source.
Hmm.
So if you want to use the language, I personally don't like using that, but if you use God, we're all a fractal of God. We're all a part of God. Now I prefer source and creator. So we're all fractals of the creator, the consciousness that created this realm, and we're a fractal of that. And we're here to have an experience that a being that cannot die or feel fear or have jeopardy can't experience. So they created a realm for us to live in, for itself to live in, and to place us in a reality where we would have all the um, gamut, the wide variety of happiness to fear, love to loathing, to jealousy, to joy, the whole gambit. But also we have the fear of death and pain. And when you mix that together, it means that when you're in such a realm, you then don't know you're immortal. You'll think you're mortal. And so that changes the way you think, act, and react to certain stimuli.
Hmm.
Now, the beings that come in were us at a point before this realm got locked down. So they're us who have ascended. So they're us as in source connection code, but a higher vibrational being or frequency than we are currently. And they're here to help us because we're at a pivotal point in time and space. So again, when we talk about time and space, we're not talking about linear that we're taught. It's a vortex. It spins and it
Mhm.
goes up and down. And the higher vibration you go, the higher you go into the vortex. Okay. And our minds give us the perception of past and future,
Mhm.
but we only actually really have the now. And so in the now, we absorb all the information. Our brain collates this information, puts some of it as history and some of it as future events. So this morning I woke up, that's history.
Mhm.
Tonight I'm going to go to bed, that's the future. And my brain has created that concept to give us the perception of a linear time scale. We then get given watches and part of the control mechanism of time. So we actually believe it, and because we believe it, we then create that reality.
Mhm.
So these beings are us from our past coming back now to affect the future,
Okay.
which is, I know for some that's going to be like he's talking absolute pants, but it's how my research has led me to understand
Uh-huh.
where we are in this reality. So we are on, or some of us will be on that ship, the Free Eye Atlas, that dimensional craft coming in to help ourselves.
Mm.
Now, I also believe strongly that we have multiple, if not thousands, of craft already here that are cloaked that we can't see. Because if you imagine, if you just change the vibrational frequency of something, you can no longer see it.
Sure.
Well, it'll change what it is or
Mm.
our perception of, because we can only see, is it less than 1% or about
Very
1%?
small amount.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
yeah,
small amount. Mhm.
yeah. And we can only hear about 1%. So if we can only see 1% and hear 1%, that leaves 99% of possibilities around us all the time that we can't conceive or worry about or see,
Yeah.
you know. Tangent time, we like a tangent. During the war, they started to give fighter pilots and gunners glasses of a certain lens coloration, and they started to see different beings and would sometimes engage and start shooting at them
I
because
recall that.
they could see these beings flying along the side of an airplane. Okay, and they took those glasses off them.
Yeah, and I believe if you search around, I think somebody sells them on the
Yes,
internet.
they do. They do.
Yeah.
And also that they used to see these orbs called, they used to call them Foo Fighters. I know there's a rock band called the Foo Fighters,
Uh-huh.
but they used to see these orbs, and it wasn't just the Americans that would see them, the Germans and the Japanese and the English, everybody would see these orbs just before they got into a firefight.
Hmm. Yeah.
So there are things that we can't quite understand or describe that are within our reality that we can't quite see. But when you change the frequency of our observational abilities or hearing abilities, you then can, which then goes back to people being able to see ghosts or, you know, have certain abilities. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
Certain abilities.
Let me just we're gonna go back because of what you're saying, and I wanted just to tell you about something that happened. So when the pandemic first happened, I was interviewed by Mark Atwood, right? And because Mark Atwood was in connection with JCK, I don't know if you know, do you know
Yeah,
JCK?
yeah,
So then I was interviewed by JCK, and incredible things happened in terms of my therapy business because of that. I'm eternally grateful. JCK at the time was a seer, and she would psychic seer. Uh, she's since rescinded all of that
Yes.
now, and she's just turned to God and Christianity, and she's born again. I think that's what she is. So I was following her, and she said, and this was about, I would say, 4 years ago. She said, spaceships are coming, and we're all going to be taken up. Okay, that's what she said. We're all going to be taken up. And she said, we're all going to be taken up in, I think it was about the next month or in 2 months' time. 2 months' time, yeah. So that's what, and she had a big following, like
Yeah.
a lot of people. So all those people were getting in contact with me to have higher self work. Yeah. And I was so busy, I couldn't fit them in. And my wife was doing the appointments. And she'd say, the best we've got is 3 months' time. And they would say, it's not good for me because I'm going to be up in the spaceship in 3 months' time. And so we would say, well, why don't you make the appointment? And then if you're still here, we'll do it. And if you're not, we won't charge you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she said that. Then 3 months came and it didn't happen, obviously. Uh, but then she said, I understand where I was getting it wrong because in the spaceship is we are in the spaceship as our beings already there. The reason I'm telling you this is because that's what you're telling me. It's interesting that through your research, that's what you're coming up with, and that's what she was being told, even though she would deny it now and say that was all rubbish. Was she seeing it early on? Because what I'm aware of is that when people are seeing, I watched a show and they were just saying exactly the same thing. What we see cannot be exactly as we see it. We're seeing through a glass darkly, I suppose, is that the expression? And so what we see is we think it's this, but actually it might be something slightly different. But the theme's there. So
Yeah.
I was wondering whether, because at the time I just thought, well, that was a silly thing to do, wasn't it? Tell everybody in 3 months we're going to be there. You should have kept your mouth shut. But and then afterwards she said, well, it was just my mistake, and actually what it is, we're up on the ship already. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting that there's a parallel there.
See, that's the problem. We only can understand a limited amount. We can only process a limited amount of information.
Mm,
And our brain will deliberately lie to us and trick us because obviously we have the subconscious running and we have the consciousness. And the subconscious is a lazy bugger and doesn't like to be challenged, which is where we get our cognitive dissonance from, isn't it? Stockholm syndrome, the inner child throwing the tantrums, the ego, all the bits and pieces that we experience as we go through our personal growth journey. You know, that can't be right. They're like, "Ah!" And then a few months later, yeah, they were right, and I just needed to understand that. But at the time, you can't see it.
mm,
So in principle, JC was 100% correct. It's just their time and our time is not the same thing because time is not linear. It's
exactly.
it's it's a corkscrew.
Yeah.
It looks like a twister, in fact. And I'm pretty sure that you will agree, and most of your beautiful audience will agree. At the moment, time is speeding up. Where does the day go?
100%.
I mean, I got up this morning, did my own personal show, released it, and suddenly it was like, hang on a minute. I mean, with Gordon in half an hour, where did that go? You know what I mean? And it was a 38-minute show. It wasn't like hours. It was and I think I had 2 hours, and suddenly it's gone. Um, so yeah, the principle of higher dimensional versions of us is very, very real, and it's a way to help the sleeping public, the masses that can't conceive what we talk about, to get it. Because It has to be a way in which they've been programmed that their minds can accept without fracturing.
Sure.
And so this is kind of soft disclosure without with a bit of bite, I believe. So we, or some of us, some of the audience, not all of them, are on that ship. Others are out of this realm altogether, and others are on other craft that we can't see currently because they're cloaked. For want of a term that we'll all understand, okay? There's been a lot of photos of strange shaped clouds
Sure.
and and yeah, yeah, this is the reality of what we're in. So this three-eye atlas is coming towards us, and obviously those dumb elites in charge, the deletes as I like to call them, they are going to try their hardest to create some kind of flag that flutters falsely and change the narrative for them and their own selves. But I believe that when you have something that is genuinely going to make a impact, that the narrative then falls down and the emperor's clothes fall off in front of the public's gaze. If I can put it in that way, so we kind of, it's a soft way of showing what it's going to be. They're going to do something, and the real something's going to turn up, and this thing's going to look like an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other question is why? Because for me, it's always what's behind it. Why would they want to come in now? What's the importance of? Okay. So you and I have talked previously roughly about Revelations, potentially First Horseman of the Apocalypse. Um, there's a guy called Jason of Archaics who's done some work on timelines, and he believes that in 2040 we're going to have a huge event that will cause a cataclysmic events worldwide. I think he's totally correct, but I also truly believe that this audience and we will not see that event
Mm.
because we will be vibrationally frequency wise not in the frequency to observe what's going on, just as we can't see some of the craft at the moment or we can't see ghosts all the time. You change the frequency, you move your reality to a different point. That timeline or that experience that is going to happen to certain people who stay on that frequency will not be what we experience.
Mm. Yeah. I'm in agreement with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So why have they come in now? Now, I've done a lot of pondering on this one. I've done some meditation, asked the higher self, the pendulum, spoke to some friends about this as well, because this is a big one. The why is always for me a big one. It's normally the money behind it in this realm, but there's no money behind that one, this one. So I can't really go down the money route and say, that's the ones. So what I get is that we are at a pivotal point in time and space, or in the consciousness of the reality of the realm, where this realm was taken over by an entity that's fundamentally dark, could be called demonic.
Mhm.
And this entity's got many names. Probably the most harmless one that we wouldn't think of is Ionis or Janus.
Mhm.
Um, and this is what we see via the Fibonacci sequence and the third party Metatronic Black Cube cult worshipping creations of the externalizations of our power. I know I said a lot of really weird words there, but it's don't concentrate on your own self growth. There's a savior coming. give
Sure.
your power to the savior, and that is a trap that then stops us from growing and developing potentially to where we need to go.
Mm,
But we're at a time and space where we have the opportunity to get out before this event happens in the lower vibrational frequency. So let's put it this way: those who stay in 3D in 2040 are very likely going to see some pretty interesting cataclysmic events, and in 2046 it's going to get even worse. Okay, those of us who've done a bit of self work want to be saved via a higher self. The higher self will go, come on, it'll grab you by the scruff of the neck. Family, friends who are asleep still, at the moment, they'll get grabbed by the scruff of the neck by their own higher self and say, oi, we need to be on this path, not that one. And
mm,
those that listen and those that want to get out of here intrinsically will know, and they will change their frequency and they will start to look at things differently. And as we do that, there'll be a split in consciousness. I've spoken about this before. The Fibonacci sequence is the 3D, and the crystalline code is the 5D.
mm,
And um, very briefly, the crystalline code, I've got videos on it. The crystalline code, the sequence matches that of atomic or atoms, protons, photons, waveform fluctuation patterns that creates the reality we see, which is Mother Gaia or Sophia or the creational energy of this realm. The other one is not anything, and it just feeds off something like a parasite.
mm,
Um, so we have these craft coming in at this point because we have the split coming, and they want to ensure that those of us that want to get out can, because we're giving ourselves a leg up, which sounds a bit crazy, but we can't do it ourselves. Now, the reason being is I believe that if this realm collapses in 2040 with lots of source player consciousnesses, lots of direct source connected people, the ripple effect through the multiverse of the multiple dimensional realities could be catastrophic to the consciousness of the creation of this entire reality and those of the different dimensional frequencies above us.
mm.
So, would you sit by and let yourself be trapped and destroyed to then have a ripple effect like a wave form, a wave of energy come back at you? Drop a stone in a bucket, the ripples hit the edge of the bucket, and then the ripples come back and hit you. Well, when those ripples hit you, it then changes everything. They're stopping the ripple coming back because what they're doing is they're removing us out of the bucket so we can't see the ripple coming back and hitting us.
Okay.
If that's an analogy that kind of makes sense to everybody, it's so we're coming here to save not only ourselves, but we're coming to save our own skins by changing certain things, um, which we will see in the coming months, I believe.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So that's nice and clear. Thank you for bringing us up to speed with the three eye atlas.
As clear as soup, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, this is our perception right now. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to play out?
Yeah.
Going back to time, there's something that I've been aware of lately, because I get the sense that time is speeding up. Absolutely, everybody says it. But I also I've discovered something just of late, and what it is I look for example, I don't wear a watch. I look at the time and I say, I've got Gary in an hour. And in an hour, I've got to do this, this, and this, and that. There's just not enough time. I'll never do that. Time's going too quickly for that. But then I set about and do it. And what I'm aware of is that I can get all sorts done in really short space of time. And it's almost like a distortion of time. It's almost like time seems to be more malleable than it used to be.
Yes.
If I really put my mind to it, I can get lots and lots of stuff done. But I've got this perception of it's going too quickly and I haven't got enough time, you know. But actually, when you set about it, it's you can stretch stuff out. That's what it seems to be.
Yeah.
Mm,
And we've always had that ability.
mm.
So I have done jobs before at work that I've hated, and they have been the longest days of my life,
Yeah, of course.
right? And then we do something that's fun, and the day goes in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case. We're now more aware of it, and we're now questioning the perception of time being linear. And so when you become aware of it, you drop the spell. The spell is broken. The control mechanism slowly starts to dissipate. The veil thins. The curtain starts to be pulled back. And you can then start to be mindful of your time and how you control it and what you do.
Mm.
You know, so we can affect and change the time by being mindful of time.
Sure. On purpose doing something. For example, a friend said to me, "You think time's flying? Put your hand on a kettle and see how long a minute lasts."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Eternity.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, completely. And you hold your breath for a minute, it feels a very long time,
Sure.
you know. But if you're trying to type something out and you've only got a minute left, you know, the pressure's on, that goes like that. And
Yeah.
that's the perception of time. That is, and so again, time is not linear. It's a
Yeah.
spiral, it spins.
Uh-huh.
And it's only our brains that give us that. But once you understand the conceptual nature of the realm, you can then start to play with certain aspects, like manifestation. So we can manifest or change certain things. I always go back to the car park space. We
Yeah.
go somewhere and oh, I want my favorite, or I want a space. I don't want to walk too far, or I fancy a walk today. So a space further up would be lovely, and it's there, and you've created that you've manifested it in your reality because you create a reality tunnel,
Mm.
which is exactly the same principle of I don't believe in space, but I do believe in multi-dimensional possibilities, different frequencies, vibrational frequencies. Now, if I believed in space, I would I would I would see what the scientists are seeing and the
Sure.
general population would be. But all I see when I see a picture of the Three Eye Atlas is a load of pixelated blobs, and a couple of them are light. And to me, that's just a CGI computer generated piece of nothingness. But also in my reality, I'm creating the fact that it is a craft. It's a multi-dimensional craft. It has some of us on it who are going to come in and we're going to interact with them. And so I'm manifesting the creation of what I need or we need to escape out of this realm. Now, does it really exist or doesn't it is up for debate.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to what you were saying, that expression, I'll believe it when I see it, and now it's I'll see it when I believe it. And what I was aware of was that when I learned about manifesting, and I'd learned about it years ago when I was in my 20s. I found a pack of a guy called Lewis Tice who was talking about affirmations. That's all, nothing spiritual.
Yeah.
Just affirmations, how they work and how it works on your mind and your reticular activating system and all of that. And so I started to do it, and I did it, and it was great. But I only did it. I did it completely out of balance. So I was only affirming my work. My work was going fantastically well. My life was shit, but my work was going fantastically well. Totally out of balance. I forgot about it. Life took over. Everything went bad, and I was in a bankrupt situation. I was bankrupt, and And I saw The Secret and I thought, shit, I forgot all about that. Manifesting. And so I started to manifest, but again, I was manifesting money because that's what I needed, money. So imagine I was in a place where I was bankrupt. I had no income. I had no job. It was just a disaster. And I thought, I'll have to manifest something I can believe in. I can't be doing it. I have a million, wouldn't work. You've got to be able to believe it.
Yeah.
You can manifest a million, but if you don't believe it, you can't get that emotion. So I
Yep.
thought, I'll go for 50 grand. 50 grand, that'll sort me out. So I'm just manifesting it, thinking, I have no idea how I could get 50 grand. I've got nothing. Just kept doing it for 3 months, but really well. I was doing it in a good way, getting that positive emotion. And then 3 months later, a letter comes through the door saying, your private pension, the government's going to change the rule and you can't get it till you're 67. However, we're going to give you it now. It was like, what? I was only 52 as well. It's just like, how did that happen? And they said, and you can get a portion of it. And so we're going to give you a lump sum of 55,000. And I thought, this shit works.
Yeah.
This shit works, man. From that point, I've used manifesting, but in a much more intelligent way because, money's not really what we need to be manifesting.
No. No.
What I realized was the mistake I'd made all my life was not manifesting happiness. If I just manifested happiness, I wouldn't have needed all of the other stuff. So
No.
it's kind of like, in terms of understanding that, we can manipulate the fabric of this non-reality. It's absolutely, I'm 100%. It's like when people say, do you believe in ghosts? Yes, because I saw one. It's like, do you believe in the fabric of reality being malleable? Yes, because I've done it.
Yeah. Yeah. What I always like to bring up to everybody is the placebo effect.
Mhm.
A doctor gives you a pill, and it could be a Smartie, which in England, Smartie is a chocolate sort of sweet with a shell on the outside, And the doctor will tell you this is going to cure you, but you have to take it this way, and and you believe it because words are spells,
Mm.
and he's given you something, and so you believe it. The emotion's there. Oh my God, it's going to save me. It's going to save me. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. And then you take it, so you do the action, and then your brain creates, or the reality creates it, and you're better. And all you took was a covered piece of chocolate that would have done nothing at all, but because you believed it was going to do something, it did. And the opposite works as well. If you're given bad news by somebody you have trust in, like a doctor or something, and they give you bad news, you believe that bad news. That bad news comes in, you accept it, you walk away, you worry, you manifest what that bad news was, and that bad news will come to pass.
I agree. And let me add something to that, Gary, something that's even more fascinating about the placebo and the nocebo effect. So I studied NLP, with Richard Bandler. I don't know if you know, it's like a mind in therapy is what you can use to help people to control the mind, program the mind. So he started with the placebo effect. He wanted to try it out. And so he produced red pills and blue pills. Okay. That was before the Matrix. And so he started to hand them out and saying, this pill gives you more, I don't know, mental acuity. This pill fixes physical. Yeah. And so he was doing that. And as always, with the placebo effect, I think they found out it's around about 35% effective. Yeah. Not it doesn't work for everybody,
No.
but for those, some people, it works and it works beautifully. So he found that out. And then he did this trial where he said, this is a placebo. Take it. Even though it's a placebo, it might help you. And even though the people knew and therefore they didn't have that, oh, this is a belief, it still worked. in a percentage of cases, even though they knew it was a placebo. That for me is the most fascinating part of it. I mean, what is it, the intention of the person? Is it a contract that you make with the person? I don't know. But the placebo effect, obviously, that's why they hide all of the studies, and the pharmaceutical companies would
Yeah, yeah, of course.
never,
Yeah.
ever, ever get into that because they're as effective as a medicine. Uh, can I say that? Don't
Yeah,
know.
you can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because remember, you always have to go and see your healthcare professional for proper medical advice, and
absolutely.
we've just covered our asses.
And I'm not a doctor and
No,
always get the advice
no,
from your
no.
doctor. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And take the approved pharmaceutical medicines that are on offer from
absolutely.
your qualified practitioner.
That's right. Yeah, that's
You
right.
think I'd done the course or something, wouldn't you? No, but yeah, because again, when we start looking at things like house plants, um, there's also a study done on animals where animals were fed the same food, very low, very low nutritional value. It wasn't good stuff, uh, probably cornflakes. Um, did I say that out loud? Um, one person was just giving them the food and leaving. The other one was saying, "Here you go, there you go," with love and interacting.
Stroking them.
The animals that were spoken to and given smiles and interacted with thrived on this food. The ones that were just shoved it didn't do so well. In fact, they did a lot worse. And the same is with house plants. If
Mhm.
you've got a house plant and you speak to it, you give it love, it will thrive. If you just look after it with no intention, it's likely to die.
Yeah,
It certainly won't be a lovely big bushy plant with lots of flowers. You,
sure.
you, and even though you follow the prescription of how to look after something, you know, it's still not gonna work. And this goes back to what sometimes I had a good conversation with Sonia about water,
Hmm.
because we live in a fluid. Again, let's go. May as well go down the old fluid dynamics route, but we live in a fluid, and everything is fluid. You know, it's just different densities of fluid that we're in. So, but water is everywhere. So we breathe in oxygen and everything, but we're also breathing in water vapor.
Hmm.
And when you're in the water, it's pretty dense. If you breathe it in, it hurts. But for a fish, breathing that, put that water over the gills, so they can absorb the oxygen they need. There's no problem. You put a fish out of water, and they get overloaded with oxygen that they can't breathe because obviously there's not any moisture going through for them to be able to absorb that oxygen out in the way they need to, and they will struggle. You know, and so it's the conceptual nature of the water where it holds memory of everything and controls everything at the same time.
Hmm.
And so that plant has water in it. The animal has water. The food you give it has water.
Hmm.
We are water. We live in water. So if you're giving love and light and blessings and really giving positive energy out, that energy gets taken up by the atmosphere around you, the water, and is transmitted to everything around you.
Sure.
And that's how we break the system with love.
There's an old expression, it's all about attitude, and it is, because of that intention infiltrates everything. If you want to talk about the water, the intention of, the Emoto experiments, which people have then taken on to other levels.
Yeah, Ostavadin. Yeah,
Yeah.
Austin Vader, isn't it? Austin.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lady.
Vader.
Yes. Yeah.
She's amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, it's like I heard a while ago the expression about two people were together. One person did a 40-day water fast, for the good of the universe and thrived. And the other day, other person was starved for 40 days and died a terrible, painful death. And it's all about attitude of how are you perceiving what's happening, which brings us to our attitude is something that we've got to work on constantly. They tried to malign. I don't know whether you ever saw that happening in the 80s. We were given this positive attitude, positive attitude. Yeah, yeah, be positive and everything. And then in the 90s they started saying it's all bullshit. It was just because there's so much more involved in that. You can't just have a positive attitude. And they tried to take it all away. And I
Yeah,
thought that's really strange because it worked for me.
yeah,
You know, people used to say, "Why are you so positive?" I used to say, "Because it's better. I'm happier when I'm positive than I am when I'm miserable as sin."
yeah,
And they tried to take that away. I'm not surprised because obviously that was creating too much of a ripple effect in this
yeah,
dimension.
yeah, yeah. Because we are the creators of this dimension. We are far more powerful than we understand. And by powerful, I'm not saying like hitting things over a head or anything like that. I'm talking spiritually. And we have the ability to do and create whatever we want. And we have been manipulated. And that example is very good from the 80s to the 90s. I mean, in the 80s, all the bright colours, all the cars were different colours. We all wore bright stuff, neon pinks and day glow yellows and everything. And now, you and I are wearing a very good example of the current trends, black and dark blue. Uh,
Sure.
we haven't got grey on, but if we had grey, it'd be even better. Though I've got plenty of grey on me. Um, so you can see how they've changed the attitude and the environment around you and how the effects of that has and does have on the psyche and what's going on and people's happiness and their perception of happiness. But
Sure.
we have the power to change everything because everything is us and it's our mind and it's our internal abilities. And when you really trust who you are, what you are, you know the good, you know the bad parts of you, you know the good parts of you, and you're at peace with yourself of that on that, and you start looking around and how can I affect a positive change, not just for me, but for my children and the world around me. Then you start doing the crazy things that we do by kind of doing a YouTube channel and speaking about these amazing opportunities we have by using the mind, by being centered and giving out love and light to everybody. And not the message of hope, but the knowing of hope. I don't hope we're going to be all right. I don't think we're going to be all right. I don't please be all right. I know we're going to be all right. And because I know we're going to be all right, and because I know this, it will be.
Sure. Absolutely. And going back to manifesting, that's what the secret is affirming it, getting excited, knowing that it's going to happen, and then leaving it. You're not mithering on about it. I know it's going to happen, but when?
Yeah,
I know we can't help it sometimes, but that you're right. It's being absolutely certain of something, even though you don't know when and you don't know how. And I mean that place. They did a study on uh, people of faith, people with faith, and people without faith, and they just found in general that people with faith are happier,
yeah,
just generally happier. Uh, and not only are they happier, but they can handle difficult times much better than those without faith. So even pushing the truth to one side, I often used to say this: being positive, being negative. Being positive and having a faith and knowing that something's going to happen means from now until the end, you're going to be a lot happier than if you didn't believe, if you said, it's all going to shit, it's all going to be bad. So we don't know. We don't know absolutely 100%, But why not? Why not believe it? What's the point of not believing it and being fucking miserable for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Or believe it and be happy. And if it didn't happen, you've lost nothing.
No,
You just
because
gained your rest of your life happy.
yeah, because your outlook is so much better and brighter, and it's amazing, and you're going to have more fun. You're going to laugh more. You're going to do the things you love, and you're going to learn to take time out of your schedule and do lovely things. I mean, I'll often do a walk, what I call an update and babble, and I do that with a selfie stick, and I'm walking in the countryside, and somebody sitting next to me did something very similar the other day, and that was really nice to see you out in the countryside walking your dogs, just talking. But
Mhm.
it's different to a studio. It's different to everything else because you're in nature,
Sure.
and the energies are completely different, and it's lovely, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
different feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is. And another benefit of being on the positive side, because there are loads of awakened people who are miserable as sin.
Yeah,
You know, spend half an hour with them, you think, let's end it now,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
get to an end. When you're on that positive side, you get to meet some beautiful people because you're attracting them, obviously, and they're attracting you, and you're vibrating at the same level. You get to meet some lovely people.
yeah. You do.
Beautiful, you know?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. What I have had periods of depression in the past, and I've really struggled with life, and I've been very insular and on my own, and it's been difficult at times. So the lovely smiley friendly chap you see now has not always been that. We all have a journey, and without the dark times, you can't learn to get out to the next level and know what you want and develop and grow. It's all about growth. It's all about spiritual growth, you
Mm.
know. And I would not be without those times, and I'm grateful for those times, but also I'm not going back to those times.
Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But as you vibrate at a higher frequency, as you become more confident in yourself, as you start to learn to smile at yourself in the mirror and other people, you bring in that you create. And you then get surrounded by a group of people who are very nice. And if you keep working on yourself and doing these things, all of a sudden, some of those will drop away and you create a new bunch of friends that are even better, more spiritual, and they take you to another level. And then you meet another group of people through this that takes you to another level, and you are literally going up. You know, this is Babel's Tower. You're going up Babel's Tower. Whatever they want to call you, oh, it's a building, it's a building. It's not you. You're Babel's Tower. It's inside you. Everything's inside you. Now, as you go up these steps of frequency, love, knowledge, assurance of yourself, you bring in and attract some of the most amazing people in the world. And I am so grateful in gratitude and so unbelievably blown away that my friendship circle at the moment, not only includes you, Gordon, but includes some of the most talented, amazing people in this world. And they're my friends. And how did I get there? I couldn't tell you apart from just being happy and doing the work.
sure.
Wow, what a journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, Gary, I think we could probably bring our conversation to a beautiful close.
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Gary, for sharing your knowledge and your research and everything.
Pleasure.
You've done the
Pleasure.
work. You've done the work. You can tell the way that you talk. Yeah.
It's very important, there's no shortcuts. When we did our little interview with the ayahuasca, as you said, if you don't do the work, you get slapped by the mother.
Sure.
And it's exactly the same. Doing it, naturally, as it were, it just takes if you don't do the work, you're going to be found out.
Yeah. Yeah. You can waffle on for a bit, and then after that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Gary, well,
Been a
thank you
pleasure,
very much.
Gordon.
And
Yeah,
maybe next time, just as a little teaser, maybe the next time we might be doing a bit of hypnosis. Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah. This is it's never been done on me before. And Gordon does past life regression and connections to higher self, and we thought it might be a very interesting, for Gordon to have a go on me and see where it takes us, because I think
Mm,
it could be quite a fascinating journey for sure.
absolutely. Always is. It always is. All right, then. So we'll see you then.
We will. Love, light, and blessings. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.